Hello there, and welcome to Sweet Child of Time, Between Seasons. Right now, we're between seasons 1 and 2. I'm sitting here with the Marshland Monster. I see you, James.
Hello, I see you as well.
Hey, do you see we got a guest today as well?
Wait, we do? Hold on,
man.
I don't have my monitor on. Should my monitor be on right now?
Definitely. You want to see his face, man, because, between seasons, we like to have guests on. We like to do different kind of stuff, and that's today. Are you ready for this?
Okay, monitor is on. We have a guest? Holy shit!
Ooh, turn the monitor off.
No! We know this guy. He's a Richmond, Virginia. He formerly was in the band Gritter for many years. That's where a lot of people know him from. Currently, he is the main man of Future Projector. They are going to be doing their album premiere performance at Richmond, Virginia's historic Byrd Theatre in Carytown. This is happening September 10th at 3:30. It's a daytime show. They're going to be performing their new album live. And Future Projector, if you don't know, they have a giant projector screen, which is going to be behind them in Byrd Theatre. They'll be playing along with. It's going to be dope. Let me stop talking here. Adam Kravitz, welcome to the show.
Well, hello and welcome.
You're my first Richmonder, man. How you feel about that?
I feel absolutely amazing because, there's not enough of us walking around.
I know. This is probably the most I'll ever get to talk to you because usually when I see you, we're casual acquaintances. And usually when I see you, it's at a show. So you're always busy doing stuff and hanging out with other people. So I got you to myself and with James for a whole hour, man.
I'm completely approachable. Always walk up and say hello. Like I talk to anybody. So
Even Marshland Monster, you talk to him too?
Absolutely. I'll talk to anybody. Anybody.
I wish people would know that after one of my performances, because generally I think like that person's going to hit me if I try and talk to him. So I enjoyed the performance, or I don't know. No one usually says. There was once someone who said at a Yardapalooza, it was a Muskegon event, and he comes up and he's like, yo, man, guys, I love you guys for such a long time. He was maybe 10, 15 years older than us. And he goes, yeah, man, I saw your guys' first performance at that Battle of the Bands. That wasn't a Battle of the Bands because only 3 bands signed up. 2 bands in one rap group, I should say.
More like a school.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I've been loving every performance, this and that. And I'm like, who are you? And why are we just finding out about your enjoyment of us? And he was like, oh, I just didn't want to bother you guys after shows. It's like, please do. That's why I don't perform. I think there's I get nothing out of it. Either no new fans or just zero enjoyment out of it.
You try playing in a band that plays in the dark. Half the time they don't even know who we are because it's dark. Seriously.
The last Future Projectors, no, not the last. I was at a Future Projector show with my wife, and she made a comment like, everybody in this room kind of looks like you. And I love that.
Just gets the older shaved head people. Back in the day, we would have all had long hair. Now we don't have long hair. So now it's all shaved and beards.
Yep, it looks silly long now.
It does. The last show we played with was Crowbar and Spirit Adrift at the Broadberry.
Yeah, I bought tickets to that show, Adam. I did not actually show up with my person, but I bought tickets to the show, and I got called out by Mr. Dante Duvall. He blasted me on one of my posts, like, "Where are you at? You're not here."
That was good. That sounded awesome. That was actually a really really good show.
I definitely wanted to ask you about that as well because
it's awesome. Finally,
I'm ashamed I didn't show up.
Because Kurt, I noticed the last time I saw him play, Kurt plays through his sound that he's always had ever since he created Crowbar was playing through some Randall RG100s. They're solid state amps. He uses a heavy metal pedal, and he might use one other thing. He plays in drop C standard. That's his sound. I don't know who convinced him on it. Maybe it's because they got some kind of endorsement, but he started using the last couple shows. They were using the solid state orange Crush 120s.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Shit amp. I mean, it's not an orange tube amp. It's a solid state. So
yeah, they make a big.
I got to walk up to him and say hello. The funny thing is, I kind of look like him, but with a shorter beard.
Yep.
And I've numerous pictures with him before, and people are like, "Is that your brother?" I'm like, no, that's just a typical older guy look. That's the Halloween. But I walked up to him and we were just talking, and I said, I was like, dude, you can completely hear your tone is back. And he just turned around and smiled. He was like, I know, right? And he's like, the RG, that's my tone. I'm like, yeah, dude, the oranges just, they ain't cutting it, my man. And he's like, no, they weren't. They sucked. I was like, I know, right? But
you're saying he gave up on the oranges, and at the show that you were at, he was back to his original stuff.
Original stuff.
I played through like an orange solid state, and I don't know. We're totally different guitarists, Adam, you and I, because I've seen your setup, and we're complete opposites when it comes to guitar. So
well, it's about volume, you know. And the difference is solid state rigs. Like if you're a touring band and you got lots of money and you're playing through places that always have PAs, even like Broadway quality and better. It doesn't really matter. I mean, because you can be mic'd and anything will sound good in a mic'd area. But when you're smaller bands like us and everybody else, where you don't get to play on those large stages all the time, solid state amps do not cut through on a stage. They don't. They get sucked. The room sucks it right away, and it sounds like a little micro amp. So I played them all. I bought the most expensive, most powerful solid states I could find. Well, fast forward on that. The funny thing is, my rig I use now is a solid state amp.
Yeah, I noticed that.
But it's a hybrid, though. It's a hybrid amp. I play through a 3,000 watt power amp, and then in the front end, I use Kemper. So, I mean, I have modeling technology, which does all the jobs of basically recreating any type of amp you could possibly ever want. And all I really need is a power section. I'm talking about like the heads that have, they're solid state all in one, they make solid state Marshalls, solid state orange heads. I don't know if Mesa Boogie made one. Anyways.
How are you thinking you're going to be sounding in the Byrd Theatre? Like, have you done a sound check there yet, or any idea?
No, this is literally off the cuff. I got the idea when a couple years ago, Goblin showed up and came through Richmond. And Goblin is the one that does all the soundtracks for. I'm a huge horror and sci-fi fan as well. And so the band Goblin did all the soundtracks for like all the De Laurentiis movies, like Suspiria, all that kind of stuff, and also did all the soundtracks for George Romero's like Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, all of those. So they came and they played to Suspiria at the Byrd. Well, one of my favorite collection things that I have in my ridiculous arsenal of collectibles, I have an original Dawn of the Dead 1970s original vinyl record that's signed by George Romero. It's signed by Tom Savini, and my buddy Ryan, he used to sing with us in Gritter. He went to the show. I wasn't able to go. I had to work, and he got Claudio Cementi to sign it from me from Goblin. So
Hell
probably
yeah.
the person in the world who probably has that. So that's fun. So I got that going on. But anyways, so watching and looking and seeing what they did and knowing that we played to a projector, I just started kind of thinking about things. And then I went with this girl, a friend of mine, and we went and saw John Waters do his kind of one-man stand-up there. And so we were sitting kind of in the front row, and I was kind of just looking around, and just instantaneously, I was like, this is where we're going to do it. Because I was in an interview with my buddy Ryan for RVA Mag, and he was asking me, and this was over a year ago, and we were just kind of talking about it, and I just kind of spitballed it. I was like, he's like, what are you going to do with your next recording? And this is before we had done the new Kybalion recording. And he said, where you think about having the release, or what are you going to do? And I'm like, knowing me, I'll probably do something ridiculous, and I'll probably rent out a theater or something, and we'll play. And it'll be too many. It'll be too big for the amount of people we're going to bring, but I don't care. I just wanted to go big or go home. And fast forward, and what did I do? I rent out a giant, huge theater. We're going to be able to play our stuff through their projector system, so it's not mine. We get to use theirs. So I got to check that out, which is badass. There's a huge, giant Barco projector on a 40-foot screen.
I heard Kevin White saying something about the Wurlitzer coming into play as well. Is that true?
Yeah, I rented that guy.
Oh, my God. That's wonderful, man.
And we tried to get him. I was trying to make this even more and more and more unique. I got a little frustrated with the guy because he, first I asked him if he'd play the first 10 minutes of Dope Smoker on the organ by sleep. Because I just thought that would be the most fucking incredible thing ever. I was like, play opening of Dope Smoker on Sleep and intro us with that. Don't play your clown music, play that, But yeah, I guess that's just way past his wheelhouse. So Kevin White had found another song. I forget the German artist. It's like a composer like Volts or something like that. But it's like a big, like Flight of the Valkyries kind of sounding thing. And we even found a version of it transcribed on a pipe organ. So I sent the link with everything. So there's no excuse. And he's like, our organ can't do that. No, I mean, we just can't do that. And I'm like, dude, it's the exact same thing you got. It's an organ. But so we'll get the cool Wurlitzer clown music to introduce us, which will be fun. I got a couple of little special things going on there, and it's basically us playing our Kybalion, our new 42-minute opus, the Kybalion.
Has anybody heard this yet? Did you play any of the stuff at the Crowbar show?
We've been playing half of it live already, but we haven't played out that much. So we've been playing it out live just to test it. The one thing we haven't played out is the way it's done is it's done in 7 parts. So the concept is based off the 7 Hermetic principles of the Hermetic teachings, the Hermetic principles of life, written by the 3 initiates. So you have 7 principles. You have mentalism, you have correspondence, you have polarity, you have got mentalism, correspondence. Oh, I missed that one. Vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. And so each one of those represents a different principle in life. So I kind of tried to use my wacky video editing techniques to kind of capture that kind of imagery, mixed in a weird kind of subliminal, trippy way where it would probably be heightened if you took mushrooms and edibles before we played.
Yes.
So highly advised. And I started introducing a synthesizer into this as well. So there's some synth that's in there. It's not all just songs like in the past where we just played like nonstop songs. Like there's intro parts and song meat, and then like interesting transfer part, and then another giant song, and then other transfer piece, and then drum solo part, and then it's kind of got a whole. To me, it's got more fun structure than what the previous thing had, and it all kind of blends together. I think it seems like it fits, so I like it. We have not been able to do a sound check there. We have no idea what's going up. We got our buddy who recorded us, Sorvino. From Sorvino Pro Rehearsals. He's going to bring a PA. So we have very limited time on setting all of this up. So it's going to be a kind of, we'll see how it works.
You've done this so many times before. I know you're going to rock it. I know you're going to be totally fine. Yeah,
I'm curious on how much of the room will swallow up the sound.
Right.
Because that place is still not designed as a venue.
Right.
So you don't have your traditional type of PA. So we're bringing in the best that we can kind of squeeze in there in that short amount of time, basically to mic the drums, maybe put a little bit of bass on the guitar on the sides just to spread it evenly. But then we're bringing all of our amps. I have 2 full stacks. The bass player is bringing 3 bass stacks. I mean, there's a lot of amps that are going to be in there for a 3-piece for sure.
Do you remember way back in the 90s? I guess we were in high school or maybe right after it. Some of our bands, Bifob Clump, which was like Chris Cunningham, myself, and Sam Colleran, except for it wasn't me playing bass. It was Paul Burnett playing bass. And they played at the theater. It was right next to the Lee X Theater, or maybe like in that same area. Do you remember that show? Or were you present for that?
Was it the Biograph?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if I was at the show or not. I don't know. I have a huge hole in my head of memory. Okay. There's a whole bunch of stuff I don't remember anymore, and it's
okay. Well, I remember that show in particular because the sound was great, and I was just a spectator at that show, and Paul's bass just like filled up the place. It was great.
Yeah, like I said, it's interesting. You don't really know how the acoustics are going to work. I saw Neurosis and I Hate God there on mushrooms back in the 90s.
Okay.
And they torn out most of the front half of the seats, and it was kind of like a very punk DIY kind of place. DIY.
Yes.
Do it your own DIY. That's it. And they tore up all the front part of the seats, but they had spots in the back for everybody to still kind of sit down. They didn't want to get close. And I mean, it was mesmerizing then. Now, that was also 1993 ears, so I don't know what ears would think of that today. But, I mean, that was another thing that really kind of got me interested in using visuals for the music, because Neurosis used to have 2 before projectors. They were using like slideshows. So they had like those old, like little roto slides with stuff in it. 2 of them kind of counted diagonal from each other, so they superimposed over one another, and those would just go back and forth shooting different imagery. And I was just like, man, that ruled. And like Neurosis during the height of the peak of where they were at, I forgot the name of the album, but that was like the peak of their like intensity. And then I Hate God was on a killer. It was right after, I think, Take Is Needed for Pain. So, I mean, that was like, you know, full force, like in your face, like, damn, no one's seen this before. You know, like, it was cool. But the Goblin show was what gave me the idea for the Byrd. And what a cooler place to do that at. But we played to a projector, so.
Yeah, exactly. Who runs that projector and who makes those videos? That's like a big thing I need to know.
I edited them all together. The first one was done originally by the original bass player. Him and the original drummer quit right after the pandemic. There was a whole huge. Did you ever hear that little story? Want to hear the backstory?
I read the article in RVA magazine when you discussed it, and yeah, you've been through some pretty intense tragedies in the past couple of years. Yeah.
But anyways, the guy, you know, he did that original. He made the original video, and then I've edited it since then and added different parts to it and built on it. And then this last one, I just did all myself. I did the new one, and it's hard. I mean, the original goal was to pay someone to do animation. I wanted to do a new version of like heavy metal.
Right on.
That's the end result. The end goal, the next record. Well, we already have another record idea in the mix right now. Full circle out, so I don't talk on for nonstop 100 miles an hour a minute. I thought, what a better way to make it so people don't have to just stand there the whole time. It'll be during the day, 3:30 in the afternoon, maybe 4. There's no excuse that we play late at 11 o'clock or midnight, like everybody always says when you play like a headlining show. Like, sorry, I couldn't stick around, man. You guys are playing at midnight, bro. You know, the bullshit, whatever.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse. It's at 3:30 in the afternoon. You can bring your kids. If you're tired and old and your feet hurt, you get to sit down the whole time. They sell beer and snacks. You don't have to do anything but literally show up in there, sit down, veg out for 45 minutes or an hour, get up and walk out. I mean, it's like literally the most comfortable, engaging, heavy and ambient show I could possibly think of.
I mean, I'm thinking a perfect day would be going down to the river and hanging out until about 2 o'clock and then, you know, heading over to Carytown and, you know, checking out a show and then afterwards getting some dinner. It's a perfect Richmond day.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't interfere with anybody else's thing. I know the taco festival is going on, I think, that day, that whole weekend, I think.
Okay.
I think that was the only thing I heard of that was going on. I tried to put it so there was no other music things going on. At least, no one I know would be playing during the day.
Exactly. So I was getting ready to chastise you about.
Because people were making fun of me about that at first. They're like, why do you want to play so damn early? I'm like, oh, now I can't make you happy, huh? I got you playing at 3:30 in the afternoon so your old ass can see it. And now you're asking me, why am I playing early in the afternoon? So
everybody I've talked to thinks it's a great idea. I've talked to the guys from He Wolf about it, and every aspect of it is 100%. It's great.
I like to play with them a lot.
Hell yeah. What I wanted to bring up was how I found out about Future Projector, and it wasn't because Adam Kravitz and Kevin White. I mean, I know Sean Plunkett's in the band too, but you know, I know you and Kevin from like long ago. I wasn't even aware that Future Projector was y'all's band. Like, I'm a current like Spotify person. Like the past couple of years, I've navigated to Spotify and I let those algorithms you know, introduce me to new bands. And that's exactly what I listen to almost all the time. Instrumental, atmospheric, sometimes black metal, but usually doom, you know, metal, atmospheric, slow, exactly what you guys do. So of course, Future Projector got navigated to my playlist and I just started listening to it.
That's cool.
And then I don't even know how it dawned on me. I think I like might have read the blurb about Richmond, Virginia. And I was like, Richmond, Virginia. And then of course it was Adam Kravitz, Kevin White, Sean Plunkett. I've been listening to these guys for a month now and no idea. So it wasn't I'd listen to y'all because I'm your friend. It's because that's what Spotify played for me.
Cool that the algorithm gave us a little push in the right direction. Didn't group us with like Tiffany or something else.
Correct. Yeah. Bong Ripper I think is who it stemmed from. Which I'm a big fan of them.
I got some stuff to say. You guys were talking about solid state amps. I'm more of a hard disk amp guy. That's a computer joke. Don't know if it flew over people's heads. Woo. All right. There's solid state drives and there's hard disk drives. That's was the joke there. But you guys are a 3-piece band.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the perfect amount of chicken tenders is 3 pieces. However, what do you guys both, this is thrown to both of you, what's the perfect piece for chicken tenders and what's the perfect piece for a band either listening to or being in?
3 pieces. I don't eat meat.
I should also say, like, before I ate, I haven't eaten meat in like 7 or 8 years. So
I haven't eaten meat in over 30 years.
So I
3
guess
vegetarians.
You could also.
Chicken's weird, man. I don't know what it is. I feel like it's grown in a factory in a little circular blob. I don't know what it is. But 3-piece bands have always been the best. Some of the most powerful bands on the earth have been 3-piece bands. You know, I mean, look at Rush. I mean, look what they created. I mean, that's just outrageous. A lot of the older math rock bands that I liked back in the day too. Like even some of the older metal, like Coroner, 3-piece, ruled. Let's think of another good 3-piece, or even some of the 2-pieces that are out now.
Well, I like a good 2-piece in the summertime.
Piece, man. Look at Big Business.
Oh my God, yes, you're right. That's another band I bought tickets to their show and didn't show up. Unfortunately,
they're good live, man. You got to catch them when they play. You should have caught them too when they played with the Melvins. 3-piece. There you go.
Yep.
Nirvana 3-piece. I mean, just saying. And even people kind of shit on them. Nirvana was rad.
But wait, what was the actual question though? Like, first off, the chicken 3-piece. Like, none of us eat chicken, so we can't do that.
Well, you could also get like the fake meat. How many chicken tenders are you eating?
It's like plastic. I tried it. I tried the Kentucky Fried Chicken Beyond Meat weird, like shoe leather. Like it was literally like chewing on a piece of like bark. Wasn't very good.
I love like the Impossible is specifically the sausage tastes exactly like sausage to the point where you know it's good because you're like, ow, my heart, like I feel like I'm about to die because you're like, it's made of plants. I'm gonna keep eating it, but whatever they put in it to make it taste like sausage, it's like my arteries are clogging. I should stop eating this.
You will not get that same enjoyment when trying to eat the chicken version. You cannot make fake chicken taste like awesome chicken.
I disagree completely.
Same.
The corn ones are good.
The Kentucky Fried Chicken, I agree with you. Those were awful. I tried them, and they were the worst I've ever tried of chicken nuggets. But I like the corn is okay, but Morningstar Farm, buddy, everything Morningstar Farm is top notch in my opinion. And then
I don't know. The chicken's always been like, chicken is such a weird thing that you have to kind of nail it just right, or it doesn't. I used to eat meat back in the day, so I know what meat tastes like, and fried chicken was delicious. And if you were going to eat fried chicken, Lee's Fried Chicken was the one to have. And if you got a Lee's Fried Chicken, like chicken strip, forget about it. You're done. You're laying on the couch for the rest of the day. But anything like that, not even remotely comparable. It's just like little shoe leather, little odd shaped, almost like if it almost gives me the idea of what it'd be like if you took like a Flintstone vitamin and left it in the water and it inflated and swelled up like over like 3 months. And then you let it dry out in the sun and then you ate it. That's what it kind of comes to mind. It's like that.
I don't know the brand, but there is like chicken tender that I get that's fake, fake meat that tastes exactly like a chicken tender. So if I find the brand, I don't get it often because the breading on it, I'm like, well, that's not worth the calories. So
right.
I will tell you guys what it is in the future.
Yes.
But for being in a band, what is the best piece to be in?
Which is the best instrument?
No, like how many people are you like, hey, this is the perfect amount of people to be in a band with?
I mean, I still like 3-pieces. I think power trios are the shit, but a lot of people still think, bare minimum 4 because they like the dual guitar attack. Mm-hmm. And there is something to be said about having 2 guitar players playing off each other. They usually have a different tone, so it creates more dynamic. I can see that. But being in a 3-piece for so long, I found that you can also achieve it by having different amps. So I have 2 different amp styles that I use. And when you listen to them at the same time, it sounds like 2 different guitar players because they're different tones. And when they play together and you mix that together, it sounds awesome. Plus, especially if you can space it on the other side of the stage to really get stereo spread. But lately, we've not had that opportunity. They're like, get your shit on stage, get your shit off stage, hurry up, do it really quick. So there's not that opportunity to really mess with it. I don't know if we're going to do that on this one or not. We're going to see. But we're bringing a lot of amps. I have quite the amplifier collection going on at the moment. So we're going to see how that kind of works.
Hell yeah.
Got a 3,000 watt QSC power amp that's running through 2 Emperor cabinets. I have an 800 watt Emperor 412 and I have another Emperor 215 ported. That's going from a 3,000 watt power amp. And then on the other side, I have 2 vintage JCM 800 and 900 Marshalls, all original stock, the 300 watt straight cabs running with a 1,600 watt power amp. And I keep that split. And then if I want to add an additional sound quality to it, I also have 2 500 watt Line 6 FR power cabs that are 500 watts each. So I can put those on top of the Marshall cabinets to kind of bring some highs out of it. It's a whole hodgepodge of volume.
See, this I said before that we were opposite guitarists. This is a great time for me to jump in because a lot of what you said, I picked up by context clues, but I didn't quite follow everything you just said because I'm a tube amp guy. I've got a tube amp here, simple 100 watt. I've got a 1 cabinet, 410 cabinet. I have about 12 pedals, which I think is like 7 pedals too many. And I don't have any desire to get anything else other than maybe another guitar. I don't have any desire to get any more things. I feel like I'm set with what I've got and there's nothing else I want.
I did the same thing you did. Like recently, right before when I first started Future Projector, I mean, I went from playing in Gritter and using an Angle as the amp that I used to have, which I was really bummed that I sold that like a dumbass. But it was an Angle Powerball 2, which it's hard to find that stuff. It's German, so there's no real where are you going to find an Angle dealer in Richmond, Virginia. So you got to take a chance and buy them online. They're expensive, hard to find, but they're powerful. They're 120 watt amp tube. And I used to run 2 Mesa 412s with it. And I had the same thing. Pedal board, had about 10 pedals on it, and I brought that to every show and it sounded awesome. And guitar, active pickups, had a custom made EMGs when I was sponsored by them. And then when we started Future Projector, I wanted to go for more of a stoner doomier roots because I've been in stoner bands way back in the day before stoner was actually cool. Back in the 90s, before people even knew what it really was, we used to jam that shit all the time.
I remember.
And I did the same thing you did, where I had 100 watt amps, right? And I always wanted to try. And before the Angle, I used to play a Mesa Triple Rec because it was 150 watts. So you just it's not that it's louder, it's that it has more headroom so it doesn't get thin. So when you play in down-tuned music, it helps push it. That's why everybody's trying to use those big Mata amps and the orange OD 120s and the stuff that's really too power laden because it can just push the lows and really, really make those move the air in those speakers. But I wanted to simplify everything. And so I went from I sold the Angle and I played through 2 Orange Rocker Verb MK2s for a while, split off. And after carrying those for a bunch of Future Projector shows and almost breaking my back because they're fucking like 100 pounds each and having to carry that shit back to the practice place every night, I was like, we're going to find an easier way to do this. And my buddy has been Rob plays in a metal band called Bone Storm. He's been playing Kemper for a long time. He talks total like Connecticut accent. He's like, I told you to get the Kemper, man. You got to get the Kemper, man. You got to stop playing on those stupid tube amps and get the Kemper. And I'm like, okay.
No, sorry, dude. I like tube amps
out, and I was like, it's pretty incredible because you can profile with those amps. Like whatever amp you're playing on, you can sit there and record your amp profiling wise, and it will record it sound for sound digitally. And you can then have your version of your amp and your pedals and everything you have built into that effect stuff and not have to bring your other rig with you. So people that have like really collectible amplifiers, boutique amps, pedals, things of that nature, they end up using these Kemper things or other types of profilers so they don't have to bring that expensive stuff on the road. Because if the profiler goes bad, you just download the whole program into another one, just turn it on, there you go.
Yeah, I like that.
Turns right back on again. So I bought 2. You have to have 2 because if one goes bad, you're shit out of luck. You got no sound. So yes. I have 2. I bought 2 of everything.
I have 2 of everything as well, just in case.
This is why I ended up with all the amplifiers.
So it doesn't surprise me that you have a lot of music stuff because you're a collector too, and that's I know that's not your main gig, but that's at least your side gig. We have a lot of collectibles.
Oh, yeah.
I've hit you up for some Yogi Bear stuff for a certain person I know. So if you ever get any Yogi Bear stuff, you got to hit up Steve and Marshland Monster, please.
Will do. Like I said, I come across the most random shit over time. Problem I have with it, a lot of the stuff that I look for is like pop collectibles. I like, from the same the era that the age that we're from, stuff from the 70s, 80s, maybe some early 90s, horror pop stuff, stuff like that, sci-fi, signed collectability.
Are you seeing James's collection here? He's showing you?
Can't see it yet.
Oh well. Well, say something, James, so we pop up.
See your collection.
Oh, hey, here's my Godzilla stuff. There's a little bit of Batman, but here's all the Yogi Bear stuff.
Is that a Home Alone poster?
That is. It's way in the back. It was from like a movie store.
Credit. I saw it instantaneously. That's how good my collector eye is. You just panned through it and I went Home Alone.
It was. I'm assuming it was from a movie store, maybe one we lived by. I have had this for my entire life. I don't know where it came from, but it's just always been here. No idea where it came from.
Admit it. You want Culkin McCulkin, just like however you say his damn name. What the hell is his name?
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin. I can never say that kid's name, man. Like Coley McLaughlin, Macaulay Culkin.
I always default to Culkin, like you're caulking like your wall or something.
Yeah, I gotta go to Caulk. Like his name is Caulk Walken. He was awesome in that movie, Party Monster.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know that what movie's about, right? It's about Michael Ilig, the club kid. I got to meet him up in New York when I was 21. My really good friend that I went to high school with, she ended up living up there in New York, and her sister ended up working at like Webster Hall. And so because she worked at Webster Hall, it's like huge, enormous dance club up there. When you work the door and you work those places, you're in with everybody else. So we were at her apartment one day and he came over, and it was during New Year's. That's why we went up there. And they were doing a thing called the Disco Bus. And it's where all those club kids that were ending up being on one of those talk shows, might have been Donahue, I can't remember which one back in the day. But all those club kids that were dressed up back, like Barry and other kinds of, they were all dressed up like, winged fairies or Godzillas and other kinds of neat monsters and fun things. They rented 2 Greyhound buses. And for $10, we got to go to Club USA, Webster Hall, the Limelight before it closed, and the Palladium for $10 on New Year's Eve, New York City. Like I'll never be able to ever up my New Year's night. It was, they had Ecstasy Punch on every single bus ride. It was just, we had like VIP in the whole area. It was just surrounded by very interesting looking people. We were the only 3 straight guys on a bus full of just chaos. And it was like, this was so weird. We walked in the very beginning. I remember the first place we went to, because this all started after midnight, because that's when the clubs opened up. And the first place we went was the Palladium, and they were like, okay, cool. And we're walking in, and I was with my friends, and her boyfriend was with me. And he's like, every place we go, I'm stealing a bottle. I'm like, what? It's like, every place we go, I'm stealing a bottle, man. It's going to be cool. I'm like, all right, man. First time in New York, I didn't know. I was like, I guess that's cool here. So we go in there and we walk in the Palladium, and there's so many bars in that place because it's huge. There was one in the back, like near the steps. Bartender turned her head. He reaches down, boop, snags the bottle of vodka, puts it in his jacket. We keep walking. I'm like, damn, bro, you're slick. Ooh. So we're walking around upstairs and we're just chugging it out of it. I'm like, man, New York's fucking rad, dude. You can just walk around and drink out of the bottle. 2 seconds later, the biggest Guidos on the earth. Like, I never felt a hand that big on the back of my head. It was like cupped the back of my hand like a baseball, like a basketball, and like literally just picked us up off the ground and like carried us outside. But the whole time the music was going on, I was like, "Yeah, that's cool, man." They were playing Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. That song that was big back then. Whatever.
Good Vibrations.
That's it. I was like, "Man, the system's banging in here." They're like, "That's actually Marky Mark playing right now." I'm like, "Oh shit, nice!" Like we didn't get to see him though because we got kicked out. But
well, you rub shoulders with lots of people, and I wanted to bring up, you formerly were in Gritter, and I think about your album all the time because, I deal with a lot of depression. So sometimes I'm just like, fucking nobody cares. Nobody cares what I do. And you guys named your album that. I loved it.
That was the best. That was me and Ryan's idea. We were both sitting. We got the idea. Wonder where the idea came from? I love it. I love where the idea came from.
Okay.
We're both huge Jurassic Park fans. Like, we love the Jurassic Park, all the movies. Not the last one, but the first couple of ones were great.
Sure.
Just because they're ridiculous. And it's that scene where he's like, Dobson, we got Dobson here. The fat guy, Newman, he's sitting there like trying to talk to the CIA guy that's trying to get all the dino DNA and everything. And he's like, Dobson, we got Dobson here. See, nobody cares. We were originally going to put the face for the album was going to be that guy's face, but like just an outline. It was just going to say Gritter, nobody cares, with his face on it. But it ended up morphing from that.
I took a different thing from it completely because the album cover is like a couch. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, this sounds like me just laying on the couch and just realizing nobody cares. No matter what I do, no matter how much energy I put into something, nobody cares.
And that's the overlying theme throughout the whole album is that.
I like it.
We got the title though. It's what sparked it was Newman saying, nobody cares, see? And we're like, fucking A, right, nobody cares.
I heard one of James's lyrics when I first got into Marshland Monster James. He has one of his lyrics where he's talking about mole men, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're talking about Howard Kramer, the mole man." We're both into that, and he's like, "Nope, I was talking about something completely different." But I like your interpretation.
The mole man, like people that lived in like the subways.
I think that's what James was referring to, right?
I was referring to, like in early Marvel, mole men are there, especially also in Sam and Max, Freelance Police, mole men come and go in that series as well.
So we were both wrong.
Yep. I brought up Gritter basically because I wanted to ask you, because I know you guys have opened for Gwar multiple times. And what is it like opening up for, a band like Gwar that has such a huge production?
It's outstanding, actually. And we were kind of honored that we got to play the last show Dave ever played in Virginia before he died.
Whoa.
That last show that he played, it was the New Year's Eve show. It wasn't on New Year's Eve. I think it was like the 29th of December, but that was the last time he ever performed in Virginia. And it was us, Iron Reagan, Battlecross, and Gwar. Yeah. And that was, and we were kind of going on a really cool little hinge at that moment where they were contemplating letting us go and actually do some dates with them on the road. We just had to get our shit together better, because they're not fucking around. They're not taking people out there. I mean, you got to have and we were getting our shit together. And then the unfortunate happened, Dave passed, and then that all went to the wayside, which, fair enough, understandable. We did play the Before BQs though. I think we played 4 of them. Those were fun.
I've seen you guys at one of them at least, maybe 2, but at least one.
Here's an interesting little tidbit nugget of useless knowledge. One of the first shows I ever played in a band when I was 18 years old, my first band was called The Diseased. And we got to play and open up for Gwar. Our 4th show was opening up for Gwar at Twisters right before the Scumdogs of the Universe tour went off and kicked off.
Absolutely. I was there, man.
And I was talking to Dirks about it. Because we were terrible back then. That was just, you're kids. We didn't know what we were doing. It was weird, too, because people always thought we were called The Disease because our drummer had cerebral palsy, and that wasn't the case.
Right.
Everybody knew Dan. Dan was like Dan's awesome.
Dan.
Dan rules. He became like one of the number 1 like handicapped cyclists for the Special Olympics team across the country. Like, Dan's a beast. But at the time, people were like, oh, so that's why you're called The Disease? Because your drummer's got cerebral palsy? We're like, no, dumb fuck. That's not why it's called The Disease. We're called The Disease because we're all fucking diseased, you dumb shits. But anyway, being able to open up for them because we weren't very good, it was just a trip for them to just, I got to talk to Dirks at the Gwar show, fast forward 20-something years later. I was like, man, it's just really cool because I'd known Dirks for many years after that. And to just sit there and go, man, I don't think you knew this, man, but like, this is the second time a band of mine's gotten to play opening for you guys, and it's 25 years apart. It's fucking trippy as shit. And he's just like, man, that is trippy. I was like, bro, he's a cool dude.
Did The Disease also contain James Carey too, or am I getting off?
Sure did.
All right on. Okay, you have got it right.
It was me, James Carey. There was an incarnation before I joined. I feel like Kevin Tiller actually might have been in that band. I feel it's ringing a bell. But then it was me, James Carey, Josh Peshkin, and Dan Nicholson.
One too many. Our first show we ever played, we got to open for COC at the Metro right before their Technocracy tour, which was what a trip.
You're always right there in the thick of it, man. Jesus Christ.
And I got to play with Gritter, and we played with COC years later at Alley Cats, like when they were on tour with ASG and who else were they on tour with? Some band, I forget what the hell is their name. They're from Atlanta. was a really good Stack show. It was a fucking awesome show, actually. Oh, that was COC, St. Vitus, and Weed Eater. No, it's Sour Band.
Man, yeah. I wish I could go back in time and see all these bands all over again. I remember the reason I remember that show that you mentioned with the Diseased and Gwar at Twisters is because I think that was my first time seeing Gwar, and I was with Jay DeShazo, and you remember we used to be best buddies back in the day. And, he was all like, oh, I remember when these guys played Schaefer Court, and I remember when they were Death Piggy. And I was sitting there feeling like I had missed out on all the good stuff. And this was like early shit. And I was just like, I wish I was there back in the day.
That's everybody always tries. That's the Richmond fucking way, dude. You know that. Everybody's always like, I knew about them before they even wore clothes. I knew everything when, they weren't even a band yet. I knew it when he was playing the ukulele. He didn't even play drums. They're so stupid. Everybody's got to one up each other on it. You know what I'm saying? But the Schaefer Court stuff was funny because when they played way back in the day, because they're they're several years older than me. So I was right at that generation, like right before they took off. And when they played in the early stages, I remember they used to have like fake like heads like suspended at the Metro that shot beer out. So like you could stand under there. It was just a different era. You could get away with so much more back then. And they would have beer spitting out of these like paper mache heads like all over the crowd. People be drinking and shit. We grew up in a much cooler time. That's my personal opinion.
Man, I need to get into some Wheel of Time information here. If you guys don't mind, if I ask you a couple of Wheel of Time questions and switch gears away from music.
Hey, speaking of time.
Yeah? Well, you got to go?
Oh, Wheel of Time.
Yeah, of course. I invited you on the show, I think many months ago when we were doing recaps, asking you if you wanted to be on the show. And you said that you weren't that familiar with Wheel of Time. Mm-hmm. So I know you're a fantasy sci-fi guy. So why are you not more into Wheel of Time than you already are?
Good question. It's not like the show's bad. I didn't get that kind of vibe from it. Like I might have been because I just think I burned myself out of some series at the moment because Game of Thrones had just ended. Mm-hmm. Other ones had just ended, and you had to watch it like 40 times because it was shot in the dark. So you had to watch the fucking thing at least 40 times to catch everything. You're like, why'd you guys shoot this whole entire the most epic episodes that you're ever going to have for all of your fans where you can't see shit because it's at night, like assholes. That's what I thought. But I watched the beginning. I remember seeing the first or second episodes. I remember there being a very strong feminine cast. It seemed to me that they were the ones. And I don't know if that was the thing that kind of got me at first. I'm like, is this going to be a show where it's just all about women dominating the world and men are like they're kind of Amazonian, almost like Wonder Woman kind of. They got that kind of stance, which I was like, not against it. It's awesome. The first Wonder Woman that came out kicked ass in 1984. Not so much, but first one was fucking badass. And I don't know. I'll watch it some more. I'll check it into it.
I'm more speaking about the books because you are a sci-fi book reader as well, right?
No. I like movies.
Okay, I was under the impression you were a reader, and that's why I was kind of like shaming you for not liking Wheel of Time because it's been around since the 90s.
No. Definitely a movie guy. I like to visualize. I can read. I know how to read a book.
Wow. Let's give you a gold star.
Wow, he turned 50 years old and he can read a fucking book. You're halfway there, buddy. You're halfway there. No, I've just always found for me, like I'm a very visual and auditory type of experience individual. So when it comes to reading, a lot of the times when I kind of get lost in what my interpretation of it is, and I know that's the point of reading, but my head is so ADD. As you can tell when I talk in circles, but they're all connected.
Yeah, they connect.
I get lost in the storyline, and it makes it a little difficult. So when I watch a movie, it kind of forces me, you know what I'm saying, to like kind of go, okay, I'm finding the path, and I get it, and I'm okay, cool, right on, and I can see what they're trying to get through.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, James, what kind of TV shows you been watching lately?
Battlebots, just nothing but Battlebots.
Still, you haven't gotten off the Battlebot kick yet?
I have finally caught up to the to what they are doing. Like, hey, new episodes every single week. So I think was a spin-off series. So within maybe 2.5 weeks I've watched, but I'm seeking through all the blow. I'm seeking through. I am just focusing on the matches. So I have watched, I think, maybe 6 seasons of BattleBots within 2.5 weeks, but they're easy to watch. You just seek through. They're at the most 3-minute matches, and if they go to the judges, you probably got another 2 minutes for them to be like, and the winner is this person. So I think it's the greatest sports competition show out there. It's fucking amazing, the shit they make, and there's like the story of it all as well. Of you see this jobber bot, like the rookie, first time they've been in BattleBots with a new robot. They suck one season. Then 2 seasons later, somehow they keyed into it and they are fucking annihilating. And it's like, yes! Like, I counted out Witch Doctor. These first 2 seasons that I was watching, I was like, why are people so up the ass and like, well, Witch Doctor, you know, they're one of the greatest. I'm like, I don't see this at all. Then on the 2020 season, I think, they just fucking, they smashed everyone. And I'm like, this is awesome. There's people you root for. There's people you actively hate because either they're full of themselves and they have no right to be, or they are okay, like, oh, clearly, like Tombstone, you want that fucker to lose, but then there was a season where he just kept losing. Like, people realized how to beat his bot. It's just this huge spinner that can tread through bowling balls. So, watching him lose every single match.
You need to be their hype man for sure.
Oh man, I love this show.
BattleBots viewership will skyrocket.
The
people they have there now are like people that are like drugged out guys that would have like explained it from like American Ninja.
But yeah, this Tombstone dude just lost every single match one season, and I just felt bad for him. I was like, usually I root against him, but now he just like, it's one of the, I explain in my own head because I'm like, Nicole does not want to hear this explanation of this. Fighting Tombstone is like one of those hard as nails, like platformers or run and guns, like Contra. You're like, I can't, or Cuphead for people of today's era will be like, I cannot beat this. But once you find out the pattern, you're like, it will still be extremely hard, but if I do things to a T every single time, and it's you could either do the no damage route of a speed run or a like, hey, I'm just trying to do this as quickly as possible. There are those two strategies when fighting Tombstone, and people just immediately they figured it out and then just were like, oh, see you later, Tombstone, bye bye.
You're old. You're like Tito from the MMA, from the original like fighting Ultimate Fighter challenges before they got like to where they're at today. Your explanation of that is the same thing of like what MMA has like kind of morphed into.
Hell yeah, guys.
There's a parallel.
What is that BattleBot? Because I haven't seen it in years, but I remember when I was watching it, there was this one that was really low to the ground, and so it could get like underneath the guys, and then it would like had this little thing that would like eject up and like knock them over. Does that sound familiar, James?
That's probably Bronco, because Bronco's been around, but that's a pneumatic flipper, and then they also have like other types of flippers. Because this one, Hydra, I fucking hate. The bot's nice, but the driver is full of himself. So I'm like, fuck you, dude. Get wrecked. He's also part of a legacy team of Son of Waiachi, which is a bot from the early days that just tears through people. But this pneumatic, or I think it's not they used to be hydraulic flippers where they would use hydraulics to flip them up, and I think this is like a pneumatic flipper. But then this dude Blip started doing this, like inside this tiny bot was like replicated a trebuchet where it would like tighten up a rope really quick, then unleash and just flip people up, so they could constantly just flip the same strength every single time. And it was a game changer last season. The 2021 season fucking ripped. Oh my God.
The action figures for this, I would absolutely buy this. This is the kind of weird shit that I would have on my wall.
Guess what?
I would have the entire BattleBots like action figure line on my wall.
I'm proud to tell you that there are, for the like bigger bots, they will get mini figures, and some of the like very popular ones will have actual remote control cars of them.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
You've just gained a fan.
Yeah, so once I get done with that, I'm going to cancel my Discovery Plus. I'm only using it for 1 month. That's all I needed it for. And then on archive.org, they have the original Comedy Central series, so I'm going to start churning through that.
That's the one that I watched. That's what I'm familiar with. So that might be the one that I'm thinking of that has that real low rider one that does the thing. There was a really famous one, and when it came out, they made a big deal about it being a game changer. The fact that it was so low to the ground. And
well, it's probably Bronco.
I guess so.
Because there are people from this current season and reboot iteration that also were participating in the 2000 series.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start wrapping up, but I wanted to say that I like 2-piece and 3-piece bands. I wanted to say that. And what have I been watching? I recently saw Sandman. We watched the first episode of Sandman, and I read the comic when I was a kid, way back when, and I've kind of forgotten about it, and now they have a show for it.
Actually, comic.
Say again?
I don't remember. I read the comic too.
Yeah, and we're talking at the same time, Adam. I'm sorry. You go ahead.
You go.
Okay. I love the first episode basically because we first watched House of Dragons that night, and I was very disappointed with House of the Dragon. I wasn't terrible or anything, but I mean, it just didn't keep my interest, and it just was there. And then we watched Sandman after that, and like the comparison between the two was like night and day because things were happening in the Sandman that were intriguing, and there were questions coming up and interesting shots, and I just didn't see the same. I didn't feel the same way towards the House of the Dragon as I did towards Sandman. So I'll continue watching.
That House of Dragon show was terrible.
I'll probably keep watching it because I don't agree. I don't think it was terrible, but I do think that it wasn't great. It wasn't good.
It just everything. It seemed kind of for the budget that they probably had.
Yes,
and for the power that they had to make that, it was very underwhelming.
That's exactly what I didn't like about it because I don't care about dragons flying around. I don't care about like these huge sets. I just want to see the intrigue.
The CGI from the dragons didn't even look as good as the original. I'm like, what? How do you not have good dragon CGI? You just had an entire show based on that shit. Couldn't you just like use some unused dragon footage and have some awesome badass dragons? And they have like, it almost looked like dated, almost like,
yes.
Go back and look at older CGI and you can see that it's CGI'd into the picture.
Yep.
That's what I was like, I don't know, not a fan.
I'll keep watching Sandman, definitely. But, that's pretty popular right now. Something that's not quite as popular, which I think the three of us were being vegetarians. We're all musicians. And we also are all cat lovers. There's a Netflix show that's called Inside the Mind of a Cat. And I haven't even seen it yet, but I've seen some clips of it. And I'm definitely probably going to watch it today. I just found out about it.
Straight up watch that. When I was healing from the heart attack stuff I had a while back, I was trying to watch things that were uplifting and positive and just cute to just change my mind. So there's that show Too Cute, or was on one of those channels.
Yes.
And it's nonstop like kittens and puppy videos for like fucking like 12 hours a day. And all I did was sit around and just stare at that shit and just stare at cat videos and go there and just get lost into the cat world and go, oh. I
love Too Cute. I watched it with the sound turned off though. I like to watch them because the music and like the narration was really annoying.
Yeah, the narrators. It's like having Fran Dresner narrate it. It's like it would just that totally ruins any of the cuteness that had to go with it at all.
Have you seen the one that has I'm trying to wrap up and now I'm thinking about fun TV shows. It's James, you're familiar with this. It's like with the interesting pairings of animals, like a dog and like a deer hanging out. I think Howard
you're thinking Howard Kramer would talk about this stuff. Yes. I have never been interested in seeing that.
Oh, yeah. He was really into it for a while. I think it was something called like interesting animal pairings or like unusual animal buddies. And it was like lions hanging out with a cat. I mean, not that, just weird animals hanging out together. And
they have it on YouTube. They have that too. It'll be like like a duck that's been paired up with like a kitten, and they're like best friends now, or like a hawk and a Saint Bernard. You know, like how the fuck the heart? And then they became. Oh, there was one I did see. It was an owl and a German Shepherd.
Nice.
And the owl, they were buddies, and the owl would come and just like land on the dog's shoulder, like fucking Lady Hawk, and just like sit there and just be like as an owl, and just like this dog's badass. Oh no, it was even better. It was what was the metal bird from Clash of the Titans? It was very annoying, and it was a very mechanically clunky bird. It wasn't even that cool of an owl, actually, if you think about it. We did samples in one of the bands I was in. I forget which one, where we took the whole with the witches and like, give us back the eye.
Bubo.
That sounds close. That sounds right.
Well, that was an unusual pairing. Medusa hanging out with Ubo. That could fall on that Netflix show of that cute animal pairings.
Oh, this is once again talking in circles, but they're all connected. So in my collectible range, I bought a bunch of skateboard decks from a buddy of mine to resell in my booth. And one of the skateboard decks I bought was made at a local company, and it has a picture on it on the bottom it's got this black dude staring, and he's got like a hoodie on, and it says Perseus on the back. And he's holding Medusa's head, standing at the top of Hollywood Cemetery with a giant kraken of a catfish with 3 heads coming out of the James River, and he's turning it to stone. Now, that's the coolest damn thing I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's hanging by my door in my house when you walk in. I was like, that fucking rules.
Right on. Is that from Bernie and all his skate decks?
Mm-hmm.
I knew it.
No, not from Bernie, but a friend of Bernie's.
Okay.
Our friend John MacGyver.
Yeah, okay. I've met him. I can't call him a friend, I'm sorry to say. But hello, John MacGyver, if you're listening.
Yeah, MacGyver's awesome. Knows everything there is to know about skateboarding and everything, too. Hangs out with the skate crew, Bernie.
Hey,
Jay.
I saw you on a skateboard recently, buddy.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I hadn't ridden one in almost 3 decades.
I know. That's great.
That was scary.
Well, I'm going to start wrapping up, man. We're definitely here. I mean, we've been talking about all kinds of stuff, but we're here because the promotion of your show. Do you want to go into a little bit of like a 1-minute blurb detail as we're heading out here about your show?
Sure. The show's on September 10th. It's at 3:30 to probably 4 p.m. is when we're going to be playing. We're playing our live set to our custom-made video of our new release, the Kybalion, the Byrd Theatre. You can get tickets, actually, if you go to the Facebook link. There is a ticket link site that's right there that takes you to the event page. I kind of wanted everyone who was going to go to buy tickets through there because it allows me to kind of just make a guest list off of it real fast, and I can print it off and give it to the person at the front because we have to do everything ourselves. So we have to do the ticket thing. We're the sound guys, we're the light guys, we're the band. The only thing we can't do is touch their beer and their food sales and touch the but we're allowed to touch it. We have to do everything else. So it's going to be an exciting little time. It's going to be fun. We'll see how the turnout it is. The turnout is what it is. I don't care if there's 3 people or 3,000. It doesn't matter to me. It's going to be a really cool, fun, different experience than just seeing a band just playing with 3 other bands at a venue on a Saturday night at 11 o'clock at night. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just different. So
I think you should worry if there's 3,000 people because my guess is the venue could not accommodate that many.
But then they would treat me nicer the next time I come back.
Hell yeah.
Are you going to is the album actually going to be available at that time too?
It is going to be available. It's just CD. That's all we have available at the time. We're going to probably remix it again after that. I just wanted something that somebody, if they wanted to take it, they could take a version of it with them. I do want to get it pressed to vinyl, which I'm going to get done, but that's a different mixing technique and mastering technique that you need to do. So that'll be down the road. We are going to have, I got custom screen printed posters, the 18 by 24s that glow in the dark that are of the poster artwork, which looks rad. There's only 50 of those made. We're signing a number of them. So that's going to be fun. Thinking about doing a raffle too, because when everybody that comes in, they'll have the opportunity maybe for $10 to get 10 raffle tickets. And then the winner of that, I was going to give a poster, a t-shirt, and a CD, like little package. Just thought of something fun to try. Why not? And we also have dugouts made. Those are pretty cool. Those are made by Toke Mage. We got those done from the Maryland Doom Fest.
And it does come with a little cigarette in there too, right?
It sure does.
Hell yeah.
Sure does. Doesn't come with anything in it. It does not come pre-packed. Actually, it'd have been rad if we could have pre-packed it. That'd have been incredible. Right?
Yes.
So pre-packed like one-hitters, that'd be incredible. Or dabs. I think we're going to get some glass bowls made next. I even thought about some bongs, if people even still use those anymore.
Sounds like I'll be buying more future projector stuff in the future. All right, James, how about you? What do you got promoting today?
This comes out when?
This comes out on September 1st.
Hey guys, September 2nd, the following day to this, you can listen to the new single from Dragon Boy Suede and myself, Marshland Monster, Exploding Load, wherever music is found.
Heck yeah, man. This is like will this be your third or your fourth single y'all did together?
Third single together. And then I'm hoping to get one out in October and then one out in November, depending on just how we're able to keep working through things.
Right on, man. You're doing it right. And thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to work with you in the future as well, James, because I'm looking forward to rocking with that stuff. For me, what do I have to promote? Really nothing. I'm doing this podcast. The last single I did was called 1989, which is available on Spotify. And I'm working on about 4 or 5 different songs right now with some different individuals. And so, yeah, just check me out at Introvoid, which is intro.void on Instagram. Our man Adam here is on Instagram as well, Future Projector. I think that's it. Projector is spelled with a K, so make sure you don't spell it with a C.
It is. It's on Spotify, too. And it is on Camp. We can never promote our Bandcamp for some reason. Facebook says that we go against their standards, and I'm like, we're an instrumental band. What do we possibly have on there that against your standards?
It's your bad vibes. It's got to be what it is.
Someone doesn't like you in Facebook land for whatever reason.
Right on, man. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Adam. You hanging here like a champ. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you in a few days, playing some Future Projector tunes.
My whole goal is that it transfers nicely into the room, into the space, because it's a big room. One for the ages.
Right on. So from us here in Richmond and over there in Chicago, we hope everybody finds plenty of water and shade. Everybody have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace.
All right. We didn't hang up yet, but that's the end of the show.
That's it.